first event that Buckinghamshire Business First has run jointly with the MK Business Leaders Partnership. We're really pleased to be collaborating on this event, which not only allows businesses to learn about the benefits of entering the Queen's Awards for Enterprise, but it also allows businesses from all corners of Buckinghamshire, including Milton Keynes, to meet and hopefully make some valuable connections. So as we have a mixture of businesses here today, and not all of you will be members of Buckinghamshire Business First, I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about what we do and the support that we've got on offer. So BBF was established back in 2011 for the benefit of the Buckinghamshire business community. We exist to support our businesses to be the very best that they can be and to reach their full potential. There are 700 schemes of business support in the UK at the moment, and our team of 60 people are there making it their business to know what schemes are relevant for your business. The ultimate aim is to connect business leaders and their teams, where that's appropriate, with the right solutions to help them overcome any barriers to growth that they're experiencing. So growth in our local economy, and more specifically, increasing the availability of jobs within it, are the things that we get out of bed in the morning and come into work to achieve. We're led by a board of 11 entrepreneurs, and we're funded by a private investment and public funding from both local and national government. BBF is a community of businesses which is now over 13,000 strong, who support each other, trade with each other and learn from each other. We have free to join events, masterclasses, grant and funding advice. We run peer-to-peer networks, leadership and management support. We can provide help with the net zero agenda and much, much more. So I hope that anyone who isn't a member will take a look at the website and pick from the list of the support that's on offer. So I'm going to hand over now to Nicholas Mann, who is the chair of the Milton Keynes Business Leaders Partnership. Nicholas.
Okay, I think Nicholas has not arrived on the call yet, so we might want to just come back to Nicholas a little bit later, unless you're there, Nick, are you? Yeah, I think we might need to come back to Nick later, Philippa.
Okay, so shall I hand over then to Countess Howe?
Super, thank you very much, Philippa, and thank you, Paula, for doing all the electronic business for us. And good afternoon and welcome to everybody. And thank you for joining us for this presentation and networking session. It is fantastic to have representatives from both Buckinghamshire and Milton Keynes businesses. So a special thank you to Bucks Business First for hosting us today, and to Philippa for describing what it is that Bucks Business First does for business in Buckinghamshire. I'm afraid I've got a further engagement to attend in the early evening, which means that I will need to bow out of the networking session. So if you'll forgive me, I'll just disappear off quietly when the time comes. Now, this collaboration between Bucks Business First and Milton Keynes Business Leaders Partnership is a first, I believe, and very much a partnership which I hope will lead to great things. Closer links between Milton Keynes and Buckinghamshire can only be beneficial to all parties. And I really look forward to being able to champion your initiatives going forward. So the world around us, of course, is changing faster than ever before. It's changing politically, and Brexit is one such example. It's changing socially. We've got Generation Z coming into the market with their use of the internet and social media as very much a driving force for growth. And it's changing technologically. For example, AI. And you only have to see that huge 12-page pullout in the Times today on AI to realize the impact which it's destined to have. the world is changing economically. And of course, we think of that, the continuous trade wars between the US and China and the upcoming economic powerhouse that China represents. And finally, and most importantly, it's changing environmentally with all that is involved in the climate change agenda. So these factors present a huge challenge for any business, but by working together and discovering opportunities for creating partnerships between businesses, we can all help to develop the strategies that we need to cope with change. So in my new role as Lord Lieutenant, I'm looking at ways in which the Lieutenancy can help the business communities in the county. Clearly, opening doors for collaboration is a good starting point. But our focus this afternoon is the Queen's Award for Enterprise. Presented for outstanding business achievements, this is a prestigious award and one which can bring winners significant benefits. Now, I've asked my deputy lieutenants to assume responsibility for different areas of lieutenancy activity. And this is where Dr. Anne Lim, CBE, has stepped in to head up the Queen's Award for Enterprise in the county, to help guide and encourage businesses to apply. Now, Anne, I know, needs no introduction to those of you from Milton Keynes Business Leaders Partnership. But for the benefit of Bucks Business First attendees, I'll give you a little snapshot of some of Anne's many achievements. Her early career was as an educationalist, and she was appointed the youngest ever further education principal when she was appointed to Milton Keynes College, aged only 34. As a business leader, she became chair of the Milton Keynes Partnership, charged with overseeing the development of Milton Keynes. And for 8 years, she was chair of the highest performing South East Midlands Local Enterprise Partnership, SEMLEP. Involvement in charity saw her become the first woman chair of the Scout Association and chair of IF, or IF, a multi-arts festival in Milton Keynes, amongst many other things. And in 2019, Anne was named in the Northern Power Women Power list the Northern Power Women's Power list as an inspiring role model and agent of change. So I'm particularly grateful to Anne for sparing the time and agreeing to head up this session today. And I'll hand straight over to her. Anne, over to you.
Well, Lord Lieutenant Elizabeth, thank you so much. It's so embarrassing, isn't it, to have these little snippets of your life. I mean, apart from anything else, it just tells you all how old I'm getting. But never mind. I hope this afternoon I can leave you with a sense of how much I'm committed to supporting our Lord Lieutenant to develop the relationships that we have with businesses and between businesses on behalf of the community, the whole community of Buckinghamshire. I'm very passionate about that. I might have been born in the north of England and got on that power list that Elizabeth referred to, but I really live now over half my life in Buckinghamshire, and I really am a huge advocate for our county and care very much about all that we do here. So thank you for coming along and for listening to what won't be a death by PowerPoint. I'm going to talk to you for just about 10 minutes or so to, I hope, give you some information about the Queen's Awards for Enterprise. I hope inspire you to think about applying, because that is the purpose of this event. And then I'm going to end with a little film about one of the previous winners of the event, and then much more interesting as well than listening to me, we have two businesses who have been award winners who will talk to you for 5 minutes or so about the benefits it gave to their business, as Elizabeth said in her introduction, huge benefits to businesses by getting these awards. So if you've not heard about them, let me tell you what they are. Look, this is a UK national honour, you know, technically speaking. This is part of a very significant part of the honours system, but it's not an individual honour. It's a team award, and I think that's one of the really good things in terms of businesses, whether you're a startup, scale-up, SME, which a lot of our businesses in Buckinghamshire and Milton Keynes are, or whether you are a biggish company. This is an award that's very prestigious for the reasons that the Lord Lieutenant said, and it is available for businesses, charities that may have a trading activity as well, and organisations generally in the community that do business, as it were. The award gives a globally recognised royal seal of approval for your organisation. And that, as I'll say in a minute, is not to be underestimated. So that's what it is. It's an honour for your organisation, for your team. And the purpose is to recognise organisational excellence of whatever size, as I've said. And in so doing, of course, to support the growth, the economic growth of a business and of the community, and indeed the social purpose of that enterprise and that community. So we've been going for some time. Over the time that they have been established, and I'll give you a very quick potted history shortly, but 7,000 companies across won a Queen's Award for Enterprise. They've been going in one form or another for 60 years or more now. It would surprise you to perhaps hear that they were first championed by that innovator and entrepreneur par excellence himself, His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh. And then 20 years ago, it hardly seems possible really, does it? But he handed that over to the Prince of Wales, and since then they've actually been rebadged and become the Queen's Awards for Enterprise, and the Prince of Wales heads those up. That's very important, because if you do get to win one, you get invited to a reception and a chance to meet the Prince of Wales. Just getting down to brass tacks then, there are 4 categories of awards. And it's again, I think, important just to recognise that your business might fit into any one of those categories, or indeed more than one, and you are able to apply under more than one category. So first of all, we have promoting opportunity through social mobility. If you're in a business that in any way does that and can demonstrate that it does that, then please think about, telling us about it and putting in for an award. Second category is sustainable development. Countess Howe mentioned that in terms of the many changes that we're all dealing with in the 21st century now, and a sustainable world with the kind of challenges of climate change that we face is critical to every business and every community. So sustainable development is number 2. Innovation, again, Elizabeth mentioned AI and amongst other things, but the pace of change and innovation, as you will know in your companies and as we experience it in everyday life, it is fast and furious. And actually, we all can adapt to it. It's good. It's a creative process, and I'm absolutely sure that many of your companies are doing highly creative and innovative things for the good of humanity. And then a fairly obvious one, but a very, very important one, post-Brexit. Again, Elizabeth referenced that in the very helpful context she gave. The 4th category is international trade, and companies doing international trade, being a global competitive business, is absolutely critical, isn't it, for us now post-Brexit. So why should you do it? Well, in a minute, the 2 Jameses. You don't have to be called James or be a managing director of a company that's called James to apply, but we happen to have got 2 Jameses. The 2 James will tell you in a minute, but I'll just give you a few headlines why you should potentially think about putting your organisation forward. And this doesn't have to be this year. You know, we want to flag this up because we've got a lot of businesses on this call. We do want some people to apply for this year, but if you've logged it now, you can be thinking about this and preparing for it. So what do you get? Well, you will be able, as I've said, to use a recognised royal emblem that'll get your organisation noticed globally, that is, and noticed as an outstanding British brand. And that's got to be good in terms of competitive edge, hasn't it? Number two, the evidence shows that companies that have won the Queen's Award for Enterprise are certainly likely to increase their growth in sales. Winners in all categories have reported that it's helped them win new business, and that's particularly because it's enhanced their reputation across the UK and across the world. I mentioned that you will get an award. This will be presented to you by Her Majesty's Lord Lieutenant. It's a way in which the Lord Lieutenant can get round and visit premises and see what's going on. But it's a great opportunity for you to bring your staff together, whether you've got 3 staff or 30 staff or 300 staff, and use it for some PR and use it for some time to celebrate that team effort and the contribution that you are making in your community, and indeed to bring in your supply chain and your stakeholders and others around your business, and indeed potential new customers. And then, of course, you will be invited to the reception. You'll be able to send representatives to a royal reception. Obviously, as we come out of COVID, we're going to have to work out how those sorts of things happen. But generally, that is a physical attendance at a reception. And then you get to fly the flag. And I like flying. I think flag flying is very important. I know we do a lot virtually now. There's probably a way of having a virtual flag flying as well. But if you've got a physical premises, you will be given that. You've seen the logo, or if not, we'll show you the logo in a minute on one of my final slides. And flying that flag is a marker. You can put it on your products, you can put it on your marketing materials, and you have a license to do that for 5 years. So it's a good seal of approval. So how do you do it? Well, and how is it determined? Well, these are Queen's Awards, but they are made on the advice of the Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister, in making that decision and recommending that to the Queen, is assisted by an advisory committee. That committee consists of representatives from government, from industry, from commerce, from the trades unions, and that group of people will go through all the applications and scrutinise the data. It's free to enter. The applications, this is very good, I think, these days now. It saves a huge amount of paper. They do need to be submitted online. That might feel like, oh God, you know, how can I do it? But actually, I've had a look at this, and you know, you can do a bit and save it, and you can have a look at it beforehand, and then collect all your data, and then choose a time to upload it. So please don't be put off by that. And actually, it's much more effective in terms of the way your submission would be, your nomination would be scored, as it were. Just a few words on eligibility. Your organisation must be based in the UK, but UK subsidiaries of foreign-owned companies can apply if they meet the criteria. Obviously, this is a UK national honour, so that's a critical thing. You have to have at least 2 full-time UK based employees or part-time equivalents. So that's quite a small business, you know, it's a micro business to 2 people. You have to file your company tax returns with HMRC. Actually, I think this came in a long time before Theresa May, but one of the things I really admire about Theresa May is you damn well cannot get a UK honour on anything, whether or not you're an individual, or I don't know whether I should really be saying this, but actually I think it's a note in fact, unless your tax returns are really checked with HMRC, and I think that's absolutely right. So clearly it applies to the company. So I'm sure I don't need to say that to you all, because you're all absolutely scrupulous. But you know, this just shows you with what rigour and the process that the adjudicators, as it were, go through in making their decisions. We want bona fide, really companies with great integrity financially. You have to be a self-contained enterprise that markets its own products or services under your own management. And you have to demonstrate strong corporate social responsibility. Obviously, if you're thinking about this, you can look at those criteria in more detail. And as I'll show you in one of my ending slides, there's huge sources of help through the Department for Business. There's a team in there, and you can check anything out with them if you decide to make an application, which I want to stress you can make for one category or for more than one categories. This is an annual thing. I'm going to end with the timescale for the 2022 awards very shortly, but it's an annual thing. The awards are announced, the successful award winners, that is, are announced on the Queen's birthday in April of each year. And then that usually triggers the opening of the entries for the following year from May, which is why we're having this workshop now, because you have basically between now and the beginning of September, the 9th of September, to put forward your application. We've just had the announcement of the 2021 award winners. There were 205 winners from all over the United Kingdom in 2021. Just to say that there was a particular focus in that year on promoting opportunity through social mobility. And that was especially important because of the way in which businesses, along with all of us, had to face up to the pandemic and the critical role that businesses played in keeping local communities going through trying to keep people in employment and adapt their ways of working. So for the first time, they've had the highest number of awards, 18 of those awards in that category for the promotion of opportunity through social mobility. And that is the category helping disadvantaged people in communities, or people disadvantaged, whichever way you want to look at it. That is something that they really want to keep encouraging companies to apply for. I just mentioned that we had some winners in Buckinghamshire announced. You perhaps saw them if you follow things on social media. We had winners in the innovation category and in the international trade category. Two of those businesses that received the award for innovation were June Medical in High Wycombe and Martin Audio Limited in High Wycombe. And then for international trade, Melford Technologies Limited in Amersham were winners this year. That's obviously one of them coming in saying, "Hooray! We're glad we got it." Anyway, just to say that the round for 2022 is now open. Eligibility remains unchanged, and I've given you the highlights there. I'm sure you're all eligible. There's just a slight difference because of COVID that you can manually input your financial years, enabling you to wind back a year. So if in your last financial year you've been affected by COVID, or indeed for any other kind of measure, but COVID in this case, please. Then you can put in. I've been muted. Have I come back? I've unmuted myself. I think I was muted because there was a bit of extraneous noise, but I was probably getting to the most boring bit.
Apologies, Anne, that was me. I was trying to get rid of the background noise.
Yeah, don't worry. I won't delve into any more of the detail on that, because I think I've just said enough, and it's a very small but important detail, because I wouldn't want businesses that have already had to cope with major change and adaptation because of COVID to worry about the accounts which have to be put in. I'm going to end with a what slide, a slide rather, that says what next. But before I do, I hope, given you information, as I say, that you didn't have before, that you don't need to take note of, because we can direct you to a place where you can find all this written down. Pictures tell much more of a story than me just, as it were, making a presentation like this. And so I'm very grateful that one of our Milton Keynes-based companies, based in Bletchley, that won a few years ago, I think it was maybe 2017, not entirely sure of that, but they made a little film, and Paula or Carly is about to show us that. And I think it will really, I hope, bring to life what I have just tried to illustrate for you. So over to you, technicals.
On her 91st birthday, Her Majesty the Queen announced the 2017 winners of the Queen's Award for Enterprise. It's the UK's leading accolade for business success for all sorts of companies, in that they're given to an industrial or business unit as a whole and recognise management and employees working as a team, benefiting not only the enterprise but also their local community and country. Holophane Europe Limited is an example of the kind of company this country needs more of. Innovative, imaginative, and working with cutting-edge technology.
So welcome to what's a very special day for all the people of Holophane. We were founded in 1896. It's 121 years ago. And we're one of the longest established lighting companies trading across the world today that is of that age. But the most important thing in those 121 years is our people. They're committed, passionate, innovative, and we're proud to craft our products here in the UK, in Britain. The future remains very bright, and we're part of that. We're making smart street lights that in the infrastructure inside buildings and outside buildings, and we're very excited by that because that's our future and our roadmap.
This year we have been looking back at our achievements in Milton Keynes, and it's absolutely right that we do so, but it's equally important to look forward. What you do here is a perfect example of what industry needs to do, what the world needs to do. So I'm hugely excited that the products that we are making here in Milton Keynes will be part of that. And keep going, keep innovating, and make sure that this company and Milton Keynes plays that role in the global world of smart cities that is to come.
Great, thanks so much for putting that on, and I hope it will inspire you. So what next for you? Well, you're going to hear from two other award winners, as I say, and then we'll answer some questions. But on the slide here, you'll see, and we will make this available to you after the presentation as well. There's the government website that I mentioned, BEIS, the business department. I cannot remember what the E&I stands for. I think it might be Energy and Industrial Strategy or something, but anyway, we all know it's the business department. So phone number there, the website, look out for the Twitter account, the LinkedIn page. There's really a lot of information that they make available and want to help you and assist you in making your application, because as I explained, it is a government, the government have a key role in making the recommendations to the Queen. And then I think the second and last slide also will show you the role, the lieutenancy office information and the role that we have, I mean, we can't do sort of individual sessions with every company or anything, but we're here to try and help. We do have a lieutenancy Facebook page, a Twitter account now. We do have a fantastic staff that support the lieutenancy team, amongst other things. But if you just want some information, then, you know, please do get in touch with us. And if we can't help you, we'll try and direct you to the people that really can do that for you. So with that, if I could turn, and we're pretty much on time, which I'm very grateful for, because I know that we've got a lot to get done with the networking as well. If I could turn first to James Keane, who is Chief Executive of Hypnos Beds, and I'll hand over to you, James. Just tell us really why you went in for this award and what it means to your business.
No problem. Good afternoon, everyone. You'll be pleased to know that I do not have one slide to bore you all with. So I was just gonna talk, but after this, and a bit during the networking, but unfortunately I've got to duck out early to pick up my son as well. But anytime, if anybody wants to get in touch, I'm sure we can share details somehow, and happy to have a lovely conversation with anyone. Why did we nominate ourselves to start with? Just to be quite selfish, we like awards, can't get away from that fact. But more importantly, we like awards that actually mean something. And I don't know, you may have all found this in your own industries. There's lots of awards out there that you can get. And when I say get, you can quite frankly buy them. And that's never resonated with us. We don't like that. We like awards that really stand for something, and you really have got to prove your worth to be awarded it. And the Queen's Award always felt that to us. We had heard, and I don't want to put anyone off, but the process to go through the application is rigorous. But that and the judging of it is rigorous, and that in itself adds even more value to it for us. So we've been lucky enough to win the award twice. The first time in 2017, and that was for international trade. And when we first decided to apply for that, it was really, we'd established that the award would mean something to us, particularly in international markets. We're very lucky also to have a royal warrant for Her Majesty the Queen that we've held for many, many years. So that in itself is a fantastic award internationally. But this one we felt actually showed that we were making real progress in our sales abroad. And we were pretty confident, looking at the criteria, that we could be successful in this if we went through the process properly. So we thought we'd just apply for the one award and really focus on that. And for the first one, we did actually engage with a company called Awards Intelligence, and they helped us with our application. We're very new to it. We didn't want to fall over any obvious hurdles. So they definitely helped us through it, and we learned an awful lot from them. And things that we learned from them was really to have a look at the criteria and be confident that you can get through this. But also, and this sounds really simple, it's the same thing I tell my children, you know, you really do have to answer the questions and answer them very thoroughly and very completely. And so don't give a quick answer. Give all the information that they're looking for and they're asking for, because they will genuinely look for that and ask for that, and you will be judged on that. So we did use that external company to help us in the first one. And then we were also awarded another Queen's Award last year for the environmental and sustainability one. And that one we actually did on our own. We learned a lot from the first one. We also brought in a director of sustainable development, and he lives and breathes and sleeps and reads all things on this subject, so is deeply passionate and knowledgeable about it. And that is also true across our business with many people in it. So again, we were quite confident in the actions that we'd taken, the projects we had ongoing, that we had enough to be able to be awarded that latest Queen's Award. So that one we did entirely on our own. And it was our Director of Sustainable Development, Richard, myself and a couple of other directors that went through it again meticulously. And I would say you can't fob your way through this. You know, you have to have done the work and be able to demonstrate that. But that's really, really good, because it's the way that the award retains all of its credibility. So that when we talk about to the outside world the fact that we've won one or two Queen's Awards, it is received with genuine praise. People know that it's hard to get. They know they are not awarded to anyone and everyone. They know that you actually have had to cross those boundaries and do all the hard work to make sure you can get it past the post and be awarded it. It's really difficult, I think, for us to judge how successful they've been for us. And I think that's partly because we also have the Royal Warrant, which in many circles does actually have many of the same credentials, or gives us that real stamp of authority. But there's no question that when we went out and promoted it, certainly our international customers, their eyebrows are definitely raised, going, oh wow, you know, you really are, here's a real award that you've really improved and grown your international sales. And that in itself gives them confidence to continue selling our products, or if it's a new customer to take us on. But more so when we talk to our biggest customers, be it UK or internationally, about the Sustainability Award, again, they do know the credibility of this award, and they do know that behind the scenes, we absolutely will have had to have done the work to achieve the award. And I know for a fact that there's other awards that we could go for that a lot of people I talk to hold them in, or are very skeptical about them, and we're just not interested in that. So the real benefit with this one is the credibility of it. But on the flip side of that, it does make it quite hard work to go through the application, but it is definitely worth it. It is absolutely worth it. The award symbol that you're allowed to use for 5 years is extremely well recognised, certainly in this country and certainly in the markets where we trade abroad. So it's a very visible stamp of authority in the area that you've applied for. So we will definitely be applying for more. Like I said, we are quite award hungry as a business. And I'll tell you, the other big benefit it has is actually internally. So we employ about 500 people, and internally, it's something great to shout about. We've got very strong links with the royal family anyway, and it's something great for us to shout about, again, as a very selfish pat on the back, that we're all doing the right things. You know, someone else has looked at what we've done and they've given us the award to say, yep, well done, Hypnos, you are doing all the right things to get this award. So I think that's probably all I've got to say. I know we're not quite at a Q&A session yet, but I think, Anne, if you're happy, that's where I'll finish.
Terrific. Yeah, James, I am. And I think it's so good to, hear it from you and tell it as it is, because you're quite right to say that, it's not a kind of thing you can just dash off. You do have to pay attention to it and get it right. And it is a rigorous process because it really is meaningful. So that was just super. So I just hand over, and then all of us will take questions to our second James Milbourne, Managing Director of Simply Pet Foods Limited. James.
Thanks, Anne. I completely agree with everything that James said about the award, which makes it much easier for me. So I won't just reiterate everything that he said again. On the application side of things, I did the application myself. We won the award for international trade, so we export to 45 countries around the world. And what I'd say is don't leave it to the last minute. So as you mentioned earlier, we had all of the questions. I remember doing all the questions in a Word document, wrote my answers, went back to it again, left it for a few days, went back to it again. I would say don't rattle off the first thing that comes to your head, submit it, and that'll do, because there are thousands of businesses, I assume, applying for these awards, and you've really got to make yourself stand out. So take the time to really make your application stand out to those that the market. In terms of the impact of the award, certainly to our customers all across Asia, when you show them the award and the symbol on our packaging, they know what it means. And exactly as James said, there's a lot of awards out there where you almost get invited to apply and you buy a bit of marketing space and then you win it. I can't see the point of that. Whereas this is a proper, rigorous award that is difficult to apply for. Not many businesses get it, but certainly when you do get it, it credentials your brand to existing customers and of course to new ones as well. I think a lovely part of it is it's for the whole organisation. Everybody wins. It's not the managing director, it's not the board, it's the whole company. And we certainly had a huge party when we won ours. And it's a great morale boost to the team because as a business that's very proud to export all over the world, it's great to have that recognition for the success that we have. On a very selfish level, it was incredibly cool to go to Buckingham Palace and meet Her Majesty the Queen and Prince Philip and Prince Charles. So we had a clean sweep, and at the time I was 25, which was absolutely incredible. And that is something that you will keep forever. The time that you went to Buckingham Palace and you're sort of there just networking and completely unannounced, you turn around and Her Majesty the Queen is standing right there, who somehow miraculously knows your name and your business and one or two facts about what you've done. But yeah, it's a wonderful day out, something that we'll all remember. Yeah, I mean, I won't go on much longer because I feel that James covered everything that I would have said, but it's a wonderful award to credential your business, to motivate and reward your team, and obviously the opportunity to meet whoever presents the award to you at Buckingham Palace is a wonderful memory that you'll keep forever.
James, thanks so much. A great double act, you two. It's been really, really lovely to, and indeed very useful to hear from you. And what's more, we're bang on time, which is terrific. So, Philippa, I think Nick Mann has probably been able to join us now. I might be wrong there, but anyway, we've got sort of 10 minutes before we go into a networking event for the two organisations to mingle, and we've got some table hosts sorted out, so we'll explain that in a minute. But is there anything, and I think Philippa, you're perhaps going to come in, or Nick might, just to take any questions from anybody, and we probably can take the slides down at that point, can we, Paul? Just then people can see each other fully on screen, or on screens, so we've got quite a few people here.
Yeah, so if we've got any questions for any of the speakers thus far, if you'd like to put the question into the chat bar, then we'll pick it up there. Or if we raise a hand, I can see there's already a hand there with Elizabeth. Elizabeth, do you want
Yes, hi. Thank you, Philippa. Thank you to all the presenters. Very interesting indeed. My question is quite simple, really. We're doing this as Buckinghamshire, but my business is based, head office is in Stratford-upon-Avon, which is Warwickshire. Is that a problem?
I think the simple answer to that is no, Elizabeth. You're a UK-based company, and you do some activity in Buckinghamshire. You yourself are very active in Milton Keynes and in Buckinghamshire, and I don't personally think that would make a difference, so don't let it deter you, but it would be worth checking out with, and thank you for doing this, the Business Enterprise Innovation and Skills Department, which is what BASE stands for. Elizabeth found that out for us all, but if you follow that up just with the government people, they'll confirm that. But essentially you're a UK business anyway, and you should apply regardless.
Thank you very much.
Nicholas, I think you're on the line now, aren't you, in terms of whether you want to say a quick hello?
I am, thank you very much. I just wanted to quickly say to Elizabeth, we'll claim you in Buckinghamshire even if you win in Warwickshire. So my apologies that I wasn't here at the start of the call. we're only a couple of days into real meetings, and already I'm overrunning and getting caught in traffic. So my sincere apologies. I think it falls to me just to say a couple of quick words about the Milton Keynes Business Leaders Partnership, which we are, some of you hopefully have heard of us. We're an inclusive membership organisation that represents the business interests of firms within the Milton Keynes area. Predominantly, we do this by arranging a programme of breakfasts and lunches and in particular dinners, to which we invite our members, obviously, guests, civic leaders, local dignitaries, and we listen to prestigious speakers that debate the important issues of the day. The sort of speakers that we have are Liam Fox, Dominic Grieve, Lord Billamoria, Lord Poppet, but not just politicians. We've also had very prominent business people such as Rupert Soames and Gary Turner from Zero. So we really do pride ourselves on the quality of the speakers that we're able to get and the conversations that we then have around the table. In addition, we're very keen to promote business, not just in Milton Keynes, that happens anyway, but I feel very strongly that just because we're at the north of the county, we are still part of Buckinghamshire. So I'm very passionate that we forge greater links with the entire county and actually beyond, and that we work very closely with all of the towns in the centre of the arc to ensure that the centre of the arc has a voice also. So that's why I'm absolutely thrilled today that we've been working over the last few weeks with Buckinghamshire Business First to put on this event today in order to support the Queen's Award for Enterprise. So thank you very much, all of you that have made it along today.
Thank you, Nicholas. Anybody else got any questions or want to take advantage of the fact that we've got 2 awards winners here that can honestly give you some insight or feedback if you do have a query? No? Everybody's just eager to, oh yes, Georgie.
Yes.
Georgie,
you can hear me, can you?
Yeah,
yes,
you can.
Just a quick question about size of the company. Is it, just wondering if it has to be a big company or you could smaller, medium, micro organizations apply as well?
Yes, shall I just get in very quickly there? The size of the company doesn't matter at all, Georgie. It just has to be more than 2 people or 2 right. full-time equivalents. But that's pretty small, isn't it? Let's face it. Yeah. So yeah, and could I tell you, the majority of companies that win are SMEs. Anyway, they're in the SME category. So please don't be put off by the size. Doesn't have to be big businesses at all.
And how old does the company have to be before they can apply? Age?
That's a good question, to which I wouldn't want to give an answer that was incorrect, because I'm not a specialist on this, but I think you have to supply 2, if not 3 years worth of financial statements and accounts to show your trading figures. So you'd have to be more than, a year or 2 old, basically. But you probably would need to be, wouldn't you, when you have a look at the questions that you're asked on the application, the evidence, the outcomes, the impact that you've had, because to get an honour, it is actually about demonstrating the impact and the outcome and the way you tell the story, as both the Jameses have said. It's not a random, we're great marketing thing. It's give us the evidence. So I think sort of at least 2 to 3 years of financial accounts probably answers that bit for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne. Pippa, do you want to come in?
Yes, thank you. My question's about timing and innovation. So I have a startup, but at the moment we're the only people doing what we're doing. So should we apply now, or should we wait until we're more established but risk that somebody else might come in with a copy of what we're doing?
Very interesting. I don't know whether James wants to give a view on that. That would be very interesting to hear.
I think that from memory, you're judged against the peers in your category. So if you're in international trade, for instance, like we were, you're judged against all the other businesses that applied for international trade. So even if your particular business is in a niche industry, you'll be judged relative to all of the other businesses in that same category. So, I mean, we do pet food. The year we won was 2017, so the same as James, whereas James is into beds, we're into pet food. We're completely different businesses, but clearly somehow they decided we were worthy of winning.
Okay, thank you.
Is that okay, Pippa? I mean, again, from my slightly more generalist knowledge, I just really want to reinforce the point about demonstrating the evidence and the impact and the outcome. That's, I think, what will get you recognised, rather than worrying about how you compare in relation to others. And there is a question on here about the number of charities that received awards. I want to just use that as an opportunity to say there is a separate team award for voluntary service, which is just for charities. But in the category of Queen's Award for Enterprise, if you have a public sector business like a further education college, and I know Dr. Julie Mills is on this call as well as a Milton Keynes business leader, or a charity that does trading, as I say, you can still apply for this. The honest answer is I've got the list of all the 205 winners. I don't know how many of those across the country were charities. There wouldn't be that many, but there might be other public sector organisations as well. But the business department will have the list of those, and we can supply that to you as well.
Nicholas, did you want to come in?
Thank you. I just wondered how. I completely heard the importance of taking this seriously and writing very well-considered answers. But broadly, how much time did you have to set aside for your entry? I say James's. How much time did it take?
I personally would probably liken it to, and I appreciate this is probably throwing it back a few years for some of you, but coming out of university and applying for a grad scheme, where you really want to get it right and it's the job that you want to go for and you want to take your time on the application. So it wasn't a ridiculous amount of time because the way that I did it, I probably did a question or so a day. It's not like I sat down and this is the day I was going to do the application. But to put an exact time frame on it, I think is really difficult because the way that I personally did it was bit by bit over a few weeks rather than sitting there and saying, right, this is my day, I'm going to get it done.
And I think it probably depends on your own business, on how much of the information you've got readily to hand, how much you have to go and find, how much time you have to spend putting it all together. It's certainly in multiple hours, but I don't think it's in days and days and weeks and weeks.
Yeah, given we're trying to encourage people to enter, yeah, that's a good answer. Thank you very much, both Jameses.
Elizabeth, is that a new hand or a legacy hand? New hand.
No, my apologies. I can't seem to lower my hand for some reason, so please forgive me.
No worries. And Georgie, is yours a legacy hand or a new one? Must be a legacy one.
Yeah, it's the legacy one.
Is it a legacy one? All right. Anybody else got any questions?
Philip, sorry, you said something about charity. Does that mean that this application doesn't apply for charities? Apply with charities?
Well, there is a Queen's Award for voluntary service organisations, and certainly charities are encouraged in terms of team awards to enter for that. There's also, as Julie Mills has pointed out in the chat, a Queen's Award for Further and Higher Education, which has the same level and status really, and is very specifically for education. But if you are a charity that does some business as well, I wouldn't be put off from applying for a Queen's Award for Enterprise. And equally, if you were an educational establishment, but that could meet the criteria for enterprise, then I would apply, I would think about applying for it. And these are the sorts of things you can check out with the helpline people at the QAE office in the business department. There is just perhaps, Pippa, one last one from Janet, who I think makes a very interesting point about already being in 10 international markets, but we're aiming to double that as a company. Would we be better to wait a few years until you've got more international presence? But I think you've answered your own question there, really, in that actually, if you got the award, it would actually help you open up some other international markets because of the prestige that both of the James have talked about in terms of recognition overseas. So I suppose that's a judgment you would need to make in terms of your satisfying yourself that you're filling in a very, very good application on the basis of what you do already.
I'd also say that it goes off, excuse me, your audited accounts. So if you had a very good year this year that's just ended, it may well be the following year till your audited accounts are out that it will show. So if you know, if it's the year that's just ended has been great, you might want to wait until your next set of audited accounts are out. Because if you were applying now, it would be the previous years that they would count.
Yeah, I think if you had all your growth in year one and you're now 5 years later, it's probably not the best time to apply. And you will be just judged on the growth that you've shown year on year on year. So you want to apply just after you've had that growth. But yeah, I'd say before you go and dominate the world, try and get this award to help you do that.
Ed, would you like to come in?
Thank you very much. Yes, just a quick one again to the two Jameses. We've spoken very heavily over the last hour on evidence and outcome. So for all the individuals and all these businesses on here who are going to be applying for the Queen's Award, can you give some outcomes to your business on the receival of that award and the actual sales platform uplift to your books?
There's a good technical question, guys.
Yeah, not easily. I think, as I said at the beginning, because we're fortunate enough to have a royal warrant for Her Majesty the Queen as well, which is a massive award for us to use internationally. So how much I put towards that and to our award for international growth, I don't know. And equally for the sustainability one we won, we've never really tried to attach sales uplift to that so much. It was more for our own recognition that what we're doing is the right thing to do and all our plans are the right plans to have, and that they've been judged very fairly in quite a critical way. So a real kind of a stamp of authority that everything we've done today is the right thing. So really we've used it more for our credibility, because we know in our market, but in other markets as well, there's an awful lot of companies that it's all, a lot of the things they say are really, really paper thin. They say things, but do they really do it? Do they really mean it? Are they really driving that in their business? And we really wanted something that says, actually, all of our competitors might be saying that, but you know what? Here's something that shows we are doing it and we actually have done it. So it's really just to ratify everything that we're doing.
Fantastic. Well, I might rephrase that, instead of seeing commercial growth from it, did you see any organic search engine growth from the award when it was posted? It's sort of, again, it's looking for that, the outcome from...
It gets, we had enormous engagement both times on social media.
Fantastic, okay.
You'll also probably get a private equity firm email you every 30 minutes for the first week afterwards as well, if you're a privately held business.
Just what I've always wanted.
And the last question we'll take, Sebastian.
Thank you very much. Yeah, very interesting. It's been great to hear. And actually, Ed asked the question I wanted to ask about what sort of what you got back from it in terms of that. So thank you, Ed, for that. My question was, I find it very difficult for our business to pinpoint an innovation to actually go for awards for. So what we've traditionally done in the past is we would look to almost generalize what we do as a package and put that forward as an award, towards an award. Typically, the award for innovation, I think we would go for. Is it better, in the opinions of winners, past winners, to actually be a bit more specific and go for a specific product or innovation within the bag, so to speak? Or should you be a bit more general and put everything out there because you'll have a better opportunity in that sense because there's more to offer? I hope that makes sense.
Ooh, who'd like to take that one?
I'll have a crack at that. We haven't actually applied for the innovation one, to be fair, so I haven't looked at the criteria, but my gut feeling would say you probably want to be more specific than too general. I think if you leave it too general, then I don't know. I think to have something specific and really tangible that you can focus on and talk about would be far more credible.
Thank you.
Perhaps if I just read out to you, it'll take 30 seconds really. In the innovation category, achievements are assessed for invention, design or production of goods, performance of services, marketing and distribution, or after-sales support of goods and services that have realized outstanding commercial success over 2 years or continuous commercial success over 5 years. So Sebastian, that probably puts a bit of meat on the bones there. And June Medical and Martin Audio Limited, who are members of Bucks Business First, got the award this year in Buckinghamshire for innovation. So I could suggest, that through Philippa and the team, and I'm sure the two companies concerned would be willing to do this because they were so excited that you just want to see June Medical's social media. It's marvelous. If you haven't looked at it on Twitter, get in touch with them and get their experience on the innovation front.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Anne. Thank you, James. Yeah, brilliant.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for a very interactive Q&A there. So it's time now for networking. We have a fantastic opportunity to all network together and meet some businesses we haven't met before. So when the networking starts, you're going to automatically be added to a room with about 6 other businesses. You're going to get put in a hat, whizzed around, and you'll end up in a room. And if you can all introduce yourself when you arrive in that room, and we'll be able to talk to each other. About 12-14 minutes in, a little timer will go off and we'll come back into the main space. We'll have another shuffle around and a whiz around, and then we'll join another room. And we can do that 4 times in total now within the next hour. So we should get the opportunity to speak to lots of new people that we haven't met before. So time to go and start networking, and I'll see you in one of the meeting rooms.
Hi, Paula.
Hello, hi.
I managed to have been whizzed out of my room, but they were all getting on so well that I don't think it's a problem.
That's okay, because you're going to another room in a minute anyway, so no problem.
Oh, here's Janet. Janet's arrived as well.
You left us early, Julie. You just started off and left us.
I don't know if I did something or if I was like sucked out in a science fiction kind of way.
No one ever knows.
No, one that I was there and one that I wasn't. No, it's fascinating. With I mean, a principal of a college by day, but I'm also a co-owner of an engineering business in Luton, actually, so we're out of county, just a small business, kind of 20 odd staff. But it's been fascinating in terms of that impact of COVID. But I think we're busier than ever now, which is great.
Oh, so we're all coming back in the room. Paula gets to work her magic again and swish us all up. Everybody will have been, well, I was caught halfway through a sentence, just saying about Angela Spang from June Medical, in terms of if you do have a question that you can't really get to the bottom of in the small print of an application form, previous award winners will be very generous with their time in terms of just giving you some insight. And I know that Angela and June Medical, hers was an innovation award. It was a new product, and actually she's got several companies in her group, so it'd be interesting to see which one that she actually won with and how she made the decision.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I'm just ready to open up the rooms again, so you'll all be winged back into a new space.
Excellent, thank you.